What's up, everybody? Welcome to Expert Mentors Live, and got the one and only Michelle Saward in the house. What's up? How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you, John.
It's good to have you back on, and good to see you. I think what is about like 30 seconds in Vegas. Got to see you for just
I think we were like running past each other at some point,
Yes.
but yeah, it was good. It was real good.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you making the time, jumping in, and I know you're just a wealth of value and knowledge, and so I'm really excited to just to have you kind of jump in and around today's topic around challenging limiting beliefs and goals and really pushing ourselves. But before we let you dive in, give everybody just the quick Cliff Note version, just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, well, we're talking about limiting beliefs, and I'm talking to John Kitchens about this topic. So this is like, I don't know if there's going to be anybody better than you to handle that kind of dialogue, but I'm going to do my best. So yeah, a little bit about me. My gosh, I got licensed in 2001. And when I started in real estate, I didn't consult with my former realtor. I was laid off and had a mortgage, and decided to show up every single day like I had a real job to go to. And I think at some point my broker took pity on me. Like, there's a girl in a suit down the hall, and she's coming in every day like she has a real job. She's probably going to have a foreclosure on her hands if she doesn't sell something. And so I think I was like the Forrest Gump of real estate. Like, I just kept running.
Yeah.
And I figured if I showed up every day and I treated it like a real job, I'd learn something and something would stick. And I gave myself like 6 months, the goal, here we go, to figure it out. And then I would decide at the 6-month mark if I had to turn back or keep going. And I decided at the 6-month mark that I wasn't there yet, making the money I thought that I'd be making. But I knew that there was a light at the end of the tunnel, and I knew enough to recognize that it probably wasn't a train coming at me. So I stayed, and now here we are. Fast forward 21 years later, and it's been really good to me.
Yeah, and I want to just curious what you were saying there, right? Just that mentality, that tenacity to just show up every day. Where did that come from?
Yeah. Well, at that point, it was the burn the ships of the shore that they talk about. Napoleon Hill, just burn those ships. I didn't. I guess I was really ignorant. I think that actually helps you a lot to some degree. Ignorance can be bliss. I didn't talk to my former realtor. I didn't talk to my mortgage loan officer. My last job, I was trying to get a promotion, and it required a real estate license. I'm dating myself. I worked for Nextel Communications. Remember Push to Talk?
Yes.
I was in leasing, zoning, and land acquisitions, and I hated working in the cubicle. So I wanted to get my license so I could negotiate the contracts with the landowners. And I just thought, well, I'm laid off. I guess I'll use my real estate license.
Wow.
I had no idea. So when I just started showing up every day, I was like, well, I have a real estate license. Yeah, I have a college degree, but I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I never really worked in my field. I don't want to go back to bartending, which I did that too. And I just knew, I think really I knew what I didn't want. And people say, focus on what you want, focus on what you want. I think knowing what you don't want is just as important. I didn't want to work in a cubicle. I didn't want to be a bartender.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was running towards what I thought was better, because I was real clear on what life I didn't want to live anymore. So yeah, so that tenacity shows up when you got bills, man.
It does, and what you just shared right there is probably what most people miss. They miss the point of. And this is what I always say. Sometimes when we're talking, we're going to get into goals and kind of the process and stuff. Yeah. It's sometimes better, like what you said, not really what you want, but really how much pain are you willing to tolerate?
Yeah.
And so because you look at it and it's like, hey, I want to build this team. I want to build this organization. I want to build that. And I'm like, what's your pain tolerance? Like, how much pain do you have? And what you said right there, it's easier for people to get clear on what they don't want instead of what they do. And that's just such a great starting point. And two, I think too, Michelle, it also makes, are you willing to, to do that work over the period of time that it's going to take to achieve that? How much pain are you willing to tolerate?
So I'm going to say something that I don't really share with many people.
Please share.
I'm saying it here in mentors' lives. People are going to be like, this lady is nuts. So I went on a retreat and did ayahuasca last year.
I love that.
Okay. And during that experience, I'm having this horrible, visceral experience where I'm on my knees and puking into a bucket. And in that moment, shaman dressed in all dark and black hat and black scarf and kind of creepy and spooky looking, looks like a freaking, angel of death in the darkness
Right.
of the room I was in, came over and he rubbed my back and he caressed me and gave me Kleenex as I'm getting sick and was just sort of like caring for me. And in that moment, I realized as I turned my head to see who was helping me through this, and I realized it was my dark side just as well as my light side that would help me through hard times. And so I think so many people don't realize, and I just had this conversation last weekend with a friend at a Halloween party, that your dark side is here to help you just as much as the light side. So the dark side can be unemployment. The dark side can be what it is you don't want, right? And all of those things are messages and guidance that are going to gear you towards where you're supposed to go and what you're supposed to be achieving and what you're supposed to be doing. It's all information. So when people say to me, coaches have the hardest time with me. They're like, what do you want? What do you want? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know what I don't want. They're like, well, stop focusing on what you don't want. I'm like, but this is where the communication comes in.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to bartending. I don't want to work in a cubicle. I don't want to, carry this baggage anymore. I don't want to make the money I was making or living the way I'm living. Like, so from that, then you can say, oh, well, I'm going to move towards what feels better.
Right.
So, so I think that, that's like, I'm like, man, I could talk for days about that. Like, it's not a negative way to think.
No,
It's a
I agree.
way to think.
Yeah. And it's, it's exploring, right? Because this is that developing the skill of emotional intelligence and really understanding who you are and really what motivates you, right? Because motivation is internal. Motivation comes from within. We can't be motivated by anybody. We can be inspired, but you have to find that motivation from within. And this, I mean, I love that we're talking about this because this is what most people don't talk about when it comes to those limiting beliefs, when it comes to setting the target, setting the things that you want for your life, not only in business, but also, in the other happiness buckets of, your health and your relationships. And so sometimes you just have to have a clearer picture of what you don't want. And then that comes from that within that motivation to be able to really help you, okay, is this something that I can truly commit to? And, you and I shared this and share it many times is that, I just don't believe commit and figure it out. I believe you really need to kind of figure out what it is that you want or you don't want, amount of pain. And then that's where I truly believe commitment will last. If not, then it's not sustainable. And you start going down a path. Oh, I think I want this. I don't want that. But it's easier to say, I definitely don't want that.
It is very easy to say, I definitely don't want that.
Right.
And that sustainability. So you've talked about that sustained drive. Like you have to go inside to pull that out. You, John, pull that out consistently.
Yeah.
I'm like, I bow down to the master of consistently pulling into that, pushing into that drive. And that is such a great question. Like, what's your pain threshold? And how do you bring that forth to remember your why? Like literally there's a guy in my office right across the hall. We have a great account, like just a great group, here. We have a great culture. I'm just outside of Metro Detroit. So our organization is phenomenal. And this morning he posted, he posts in the morning, I'm at the gym, 6:30, get it. He's got, look at these bags. I didn't sleep, but I'm here. And then he posted a picture. He's like, oh yeah, this is my mom. She's in a long-term care facility, and my motivation and my driver is to keep her in this and give her proper care. This
Right.
is my driving force. This
Right.
is why I do what I do. And this is what's
Yeah.
keeping me going. So um, keeping those things in front of you all the time, like just as a memory of why you're working so hard and what it is that you're going for. I think when you when like you can turn that script, and I'm just talking about Jeff over here, like you can turn that script and say, I'm doing it because I love my mom. And that would be a positive. I'm doing it because I love my mom. But the negative is I don't want her to live in a shitty nursing home.
Mhm. Right.
Right? Like they're both the same. They're both really the same. That's what
Yeah.
I mean. Like your dark is here to help you as much as your light. It's the same freaking conversation. You're just phrasing it a bit differently.
I love that. That is such a great, how you articulated that, and for everybody to able to get their heads around it, because it is. And, you getting in kind of into the belief side of things. And, when you understand, beliefs are just a collection of our thoughts and, the way we think about things.
Mhm.
And so you're given drastic ways to maybe think a little bit differently in what's limiting you to come back. And, our thinking is driven, by circumstance, by environment. So like what you just shared with everybody, just
Mhm.
kind of break it apart for people listening in, is that, you didn't want to go back into that circumstance. You didn't want to go back into that environment. And then that challenged your thinking, and you formed that belief system around it. And then that's what drove ultimately how you felt, that drove your actions, that ultimately have led to all of the results that you have in your life. And so, for you, when you look at and around understanding, kind of when you see a limiting belief or you encounter it yourself, like kind of what's that process for you to kind of go through to break that apart, or how you help, others around you break break through those beliefs?
I think it starts with curiosity. Number one, that's like that is my biggest thing, man. Curiosity. Get curious about other people, and get curious about what makes them tick and how they think the way they think and what drives them, and just really start asking questions of whether it's my teammates, whether it's other real estate agents looking to elevate their career, getting inside their head and finding out what those drivers are. Because once you once you understand what makes people tick, then you can start to guide them down the path that's going to help them grow and succeed, right? I can't just make a recommendation or a prescription to John on the phone and say, "Oh, John, yeah, John, you want to do this? Then I know that you should take
Put it together.
XYZ action." Not until I know what really makes you tick and your why. Like I wanted to lose weight. Okay. I wanted to lose weight. And somebody said to me, well, just go to the gym and take these classes. And I was like, I went to the gym, took the classes, had major knee pain, actually caused me more stress because the workouts were so intense, that I just felt exhausted. I felt exhausted all the time. My body felt really beat up. Was I losing weight? Yeah, but it wasn't sustainable
Mm,
because the right questions weren't really asked.
right.
And it was like, okay, yeah, great. You want to lose some weight. Well, like, how long do you want to lose it for?
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you want to lose it for 2 weeks? Go on vacation and put it back on? Do you want to create a new lifestyle? Do you want to do something sustainable? Do you want to, like, there's just, if you really drill down and start asking the right questions, then I think you can give a better answer for people
Yeah.
about what really might be a solution.
It's one of the key fundamentals of leadership. And I just always kind of joke, just because everybody can kind of get their head around it, is just kind of, curious George, right? Just stay curious, just always be asking questions, like to the point of like annoying, right? Just asking questions and asking questions and asking questions. And that's what really will elevate you as a leader, is being able to do that, right? And you know that's also thinking. Just asking better questions allows us to think better, and then form those beliefs. And I really love, just even, Byron Katie's framework, right? When you run into something or you think something and you're like, is that true? Is that absolutely really true?
Right.
What is the truth?
Yeah. Right. Because then you can create a different story for yourself too, right?
Sure. Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
that's that's deep. That's yeah. And I think, I mean, ultimately, myself included, um, people want to be seen and understood. Um, and when you can see and understand people, and the world opens up.
Yeah.
Um, if you can see and understand yourself, you can see and understand other people. Asking better questions, that's freaking phenomenal. That's one of the things I would always, the skill I would love to learn because I think and do better at.
Yeah, it's when I first really got into coaching, I made I too many coaches push their agendas on other people. And one of the things that I really knew was not to be true was that it had to be their goals, what they wanted to achieve, and
Yeah.
it's really about them. Now, a great coach can bring the whole tool, all of the tools and frameworks and principles and processes and everything, but none of that matters until you get really clear on what that individual is trying to achieve. And I joke, I mean, I coached somebody out of real estate just this month, right? And it's because it's what's important for them. What's their life? What do they want to achieve? And is this vehicle going to help them find their freedom, or is there a better vehicle for them to be able to do that? And so when I really like kind of made that transition about 10, 11 years ago, kind of still part of running the brokerage, but really more on the coaching side of things. I made an investment and I went into Coactive, went to like a 3-day event on the fundamentals of coaching through coactive coaching.
Mhm.
And it's funny you say that because about the questions, because that was one of the things that I felt that I needed to improve upon. And yet everybody around me was like, dude, you ask questions all the time. Like, that's like, you're really good at asking questions. And I'm like, wow, like I felt that's where I needed the most work and the most help. Yet you see that as a trait. So I say that to like caution you is that you probably already do ask a lot of great questions because you stay curious.
I try.
And if you just stay curious, and the other ratio, when we look at kind of the stay curious is really try to monitor your question to statement ratio. And are you asking more questions than you're talking? And as a leader, it's one of the most important things to remember. And I love Jocko, and what Jocko talks about. He says the best missions we went on, I would say 3 words: execute, execute, execute. And he goes, I wouldn't have to say another thing. He said the teams knew what they were supposed to do. They executed. They did their job, and I was able to just be there, support, lead, and I didn't have to say a word. And I'm like, that's leadership.
That's
And that's
amazing.
being able to get to that point. So when for you, because we battle it all the time, right? So and I think you've already answered this, and it's you have to be able to lead yourself and coach yourself through this before you can lead or coach. And you said see, like, man, I really, if you can see other people,
Mhm.
do you believe that you need to be able to see yourself first before you can see others?
Actually, Jarek Robbins just talked about this when I saw you, I don't know, just a couple weeks ago or whatever, right? He was basically talking about managing yourself, managing others when you're not around, which is like, or leading others when you're not around, like what you just said with Jocko, right? He just said 3 words. He really didn't even need to say those 3 words. He probably didn't even need to be present and his people would have
Correct.
executed, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, I think it's not like you're going to master just yourself before you can help other people. No, I think all of them are happening simultaneously,
Yeah.
right? So I can have a day where I feel like I'm on my A game. I got out of bed, I did my workout in, I made my calls, I did like whatever, and then I feel like these people aren't listening to a damn thing I say or something, right? Or I could have the flip on that kind of a thing of like, all right, fine. Yeah, I totally ditched my workout this morning. I sat and sipped coffee with my spouse, and and then I come here, and I'm like, you guys are just freaking moving without me. This is great. Like I love it. So it's something that you have to keep an eye on and keep them all in check at the same time. I don't think they happen one in the series of the next, not at all. I mean, maybe I'm a bit off on that, but I mean, it would be hard if you didn't have some baseline, though. Let me say that part. You need to have a baseline before other people will respect you and what you're doing,
Sure.
right? If
Sure.
John, if you never ran a marathon before and you said, "Hey, you guys need to do this and this to run a marathon," I'd be like, "Okay, dude."
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
like, "You want
Yeah.
me to do what? And you never did it?
Right.
Oh, you're gonna
Yeah.
ride along in the car next to me? Okay."
Yeah. There's an element of that for sure.
Yeah.
And even at certain levels, um, we we were able to connect with people. I remember, Clayton Mask had a tremendous influence on all of us. CEO of Infusionsoft, and we were able to be in his high level private mastermind for about 3 or 4 years, and just an incredible human being. And he really pushed on us from a leadership perspective. And we got to meet his personal coach, Steve Hardison, and Steve's $150,000 on January 1st, right? You write a check, 150 G's, and you got to go see Steve to get coached by him. He's in Arizona, and he Clay worked with him and helped him get the business to where it was. And then Clay said, he felt he had to work with somebody else to help get his business to the next level. And he said it was okay for a certain point, yet he had to go back to Steve because Steve challenged who he was as a human being
Mhm.
more so than challenging him to help him grow his business. And so sometimes, we need that in our life. This, I mean, you do as well. I mean, just we all have to have great coaches in our lives,
Yeah.
and just for wherever area that we're trying to improve, wherever we're trying to get better. And so that helps for me, my kind of like my personal coach that helps me with all the head stuff. And he's critical. But he helps me with those limiting beliefs. He helps me to increase my thinking and remove the contamination, right? Because that's limiting beliefs is just contamination. Because what we just talked about, Michelle, with the when we have that limiting belief, then that leads to negative feelings.
Mm.
And those negative feelings and those negative emotions are driven when those are driven up. That means our understanding about something and our trust is real low. So for you as a leader, for what you do really well by what you were saying is you stay curious,
Yeah, I try.
is you find where where they're not understanding something
Yeah.
and how you can help them build trust. And then that brings that negative emotion down.
Yes.
Now they're receptive. Now they're able to work through it and you're able to help them.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You have to have some baseline for it of trust, right? Or you have to have some sort of baseline for it. But that challenging, which is actually I think in our topic here, but that challenging your mindset or challenging those limiting beliefs, that's one of the hardest freaking things to do. Like
Yeah.
I think you do need a coach to call that out of you most often.
Yeah.
It's good luck doing it on your own. If you don't
Right.
have a coach or a mentor, you need to have somebody that you trust that's really going to give you the hard advice that you might not want to hear.
Mhm.
Like and say it with love.
Right.
Because sometimes it is hard to even see it for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, look, it's really hard to break the habit of being yourself. That's what Joe Dispenza talks about. That's like the book, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to break the habit of being yourself. And you're like, okay. I mean, look, you get out of bed the same side of the bed every morning, probably. Unless you guys
Correct.
really spice it up. I don't know. That's crazy. But to me, but you get out the same side of the bed, you grab for the same color toothbrush, right? You're wearing the same clothes that you wore 2 weeks ago, unless
Right.
the weather's dramatically changed, but whatever. You're like, it's you're gonna drive to the office in the same way for the most part. Like it's very hard to break that pattern of being yourself. And that can be in conversation, the way you think, the way you live your life, and your physical actions of rolling out of bed the same way and grabbing for the same toothbrush are going to trigger some of the same thoughts.
So what are some of your what are some of your actionable items to work through that
Yeah.
that somebody can be thinking about, right? It's hard. I believe it. I believe you have to. It's something that you need to do daily to
Yeah.
keep that. And it's how do you flip that switch daily within to control that? And I have certain things that if I don't do, I know that mindset will start to creep in.
Mm.
For me, it's the physical stuff, right? I mean, that's why I keep pushing and pushing and pushing, because I just want to it's a reminder to myself who's in charge. And so it really is. So for you, what are those actionable items that to keep that in check, the things that you got to do daily to reignite that?
I agree with you on physical. Like, when I'm away from working out, my emotions get all out of whack.
Yeah.
My emotions do, which is
Mhm.
like, huh? Like Michelle be popping off at the mouth. So, but I get, but you do. Yeah, that is definitely a way to keep yourself in check. Learning to tell yourself no and sticking to it. Something so simple that I'll do, like if I'm on the treadmill and I see that somebody, pops up on my feed or wants to, is texting me or something like that, and I've got the stopwatch going, I like want to, even if I'm walking and doing a cool down, I want to like clean up my email and see what's going on or whatever. But I'm like, no, no, like I got to talk to myself like I'm a dog. Leave it, like, like, but like practicing something that small of like, you have 5 more minutes on the tread before you can check your phone.
Right.
Like it's building a muscle towards it.
Mhm.
You know, this is, I mean, for years and years and years, I just think back to my daily schedule is like, I was committed. I was not going on any listing or real estate related appointments until after 1 o'clock, 5 days a week. I don't care. Good luck getting me. Like it ain't happening. I'm on the phone in the morning and making my outbound calls. I eat lunch, then I hit the road. And I just was disciplined in what I would allow into my schedule. And yeah, I mean, it's this morning I broke my rule. I can sit and have leisurely coffee on the weekends. That's a weekend treat. And this morning I was like, I woke up a little chill in the air, it started raining. I was like, I just want a cup of coffee. And it dominoed my whole damn day. And here we go again. That's the dark side. Like, I caved into it. I was like, all right, you can break the rules this morning and have a cup of coffee. And then I'm racing and scrambling for the domino the rest of the day to kind of get here with you.
Yeah.
But you be reminded of those times where you broke the rules and or gave yourself too much grace or let yourself off the hook and it didn't go the way that you wanted. The more often you keep yourself on the hook, then the more often it's going to go your way and you're going to be able to hit that stride that you're looking to achieve.
You said the key word there. It's discipline.
Mm.
And the Ryan Holiday's my favorite author, and his newest book is called Discipline is Destiny.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet. Okay.
And he it's just one of the virtues. And discipline comes after courage. And courage is really having the courage to put it on the line. And discipline is the ability to keep our butt in line. And I see Renee Velasquez made a comment here, and I host a quarterly event, Kitchen Table, and at the second one that we did, we were sitting around after dinner one evening, and there was about a dozen of us. We were sitting there, and she said, you've had the opportunity to work with some of the best, and she goes, what's the one thing that stands out? And I didn't even let her finish, and I said, discipline. I said, those that are the most disciplined to their thoughts, they're disciplined to how they, show up every day. They're disciplined to their actions. They're disciplined to follow through, even on the days they don't want to follow through. That's the separator. Discipline is the separator from average to whatever level that you want to achieve to. And I want to transition here with you, Michelle, just into the thinking here and discipline to those activities, discipline to those thoughts.
Yeah.
How does that carry into setting just the goals, the targets, the things that you're wanting to achieve, business, relationships, health? Like how does this start to carry over into those goals?
How does the discipline set into, I mean, it's consistent action equals results, right? Like where I'm at right now, and my brain just goes poof, and you're like, Michelle, that was the damn question. But where my brain goes to right now is I'm trying to get over. I have a goal right now, and I know that I'm in the valley right now. Like, okay, everything's going along good on the path. Damn it, you have like a financial setback or a physical setback. You break your arm. You have a big bill come in that you didn't expect. Whatever it is, you're saving. Whatever it is you're trying to achieve, and you get a damn it, and you hit the valley. That's I'm in a valley right now. One of the goals that I've set, and I just keep telling myself, and this is the mindset thing. Maybe this is where we're going with this. Maybe I'll hit your answer the way you were thinking. Um, is when I hit that valley, I just have to remind myself, stay in faith. This is just a valley. The goal that you want to achieve is still on the other side of this. It's going to be okay. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And like, I talk to myself of like, valleys are going to come, bumps in the road will happen. It
Right.
doesn't mean it's going to ruin the goal. It
Right.
doesn't mean, it means you're being tested, and it means if you really want this, this is the challenge that's showing up right now. So you need to decide, just as you said, decide, make that decision, and have the courage to like, okay, I'm going to keep going. As I said at the beginning of this conversation, I gave myself 6 months to try to make some money at this thing called real estate. And then I was like, do I retreat or do I keep going? I had one of those moments and
Yeah.
decided to keep going. And when you make that decision, that's when, I love that phrase by Goethe, that's when providence moved too. That's when, things that you wouldn't even imagine would come to your aid and your rescue will show up to help you in that pursuit of that goal. But if you just throw up the white flag, that's it. So where does that show up? It's how does that show up? It's 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 okay. So you have the dark side, what you don't want. I think about that, and then I think about what I do want, and I have to self-talk myself through it. And sometimes I have to um, jump on conversations with other great leaders and mentors and people who have done, which I do a lot, people who have done more than I've done in my life, and lean into them for encouragement
Yeah.
on the days that you don't have the discipline for it.
Right. So powerful. And, so I think, I want to get your take on this. So, you set that goal and then, you have to reverse engineer out what it's going to take to achieve that. And is that something that you're willing to commit to? That's where I believe that
Yeah.
that's where the commitment really comes from. I don't believe, like I said, I don't believe you commit and figure it out. I believe you're like, okay, well, is this really what I want? Is this really the goal? Okay.
Mm,
Well, what has to happen for that to be true? And, it's kind of in that goal process, it's like, okay, is that really the goal? Okay, what are all the things that have to happen for that? What has to happen for that to be true? And so it's just the process that I even went through when I did Ironman for the first time. I was like, I didn't even know what that was, right? I didn't even know what it meant, right? So I had to do the research on, 2.4 miles in the water, 112 miles on the bike, 26.2 marathon. Well, I knew what a marathon was because I had done that, but I didn't understand the bike and I didn't understand the swim.
yeah.
And so then I just had to start figuring out, well, what is that? And then, okay, well, how much time do I have to dedicate to it? Because I think that's the one thing where people fall short with their goals is
Yes.
that they don't understand the amount of time it takes to achieve it because they don't think through that. They don't think through, okay, well, how much time am I willing to invest? How much time am I willing to invest for that outcome to be true?
Yeah.
And so once I understood all of that, then it was something that's like, okay, I can commit to that. And I committed to it. And then that's where the courage, right, to put it on the line. But what you were just saying right there, even in your process, your 6-month window,
Hmm.
you just hadn't learned something yet.
Right.
That's all you hadn't developed something, you hadn't learned something. You stayed curious,
Yeah.
were able to see it, and then now we start to get the victories.
Yeah.
And really that's where confidence comes from, because confidence is just a collection of wins.
Yeah.
And I love the micro wins, because if we're getting micro wins every day, that builds a bigger confidence. And then the cycle it gets moving, right? It gets moving, that momentum gets going.
So two things I could go on. I could talk to you for days, John. Two things. People say 10x your goals.
I'm glad you're going here because this is my question. So go
I
here, please.
I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. I believe, and I've always done it this way. I set goals that I know I can win at. They're a little bit hard. Don't get me wrong, they're hard, but I want to win. I'm competitive. I
That's right.
want to win. And so when I can have those measurables of like, okay, year to date, we've closed 160 so far, whatever, whatever, 100, 180, 100, whatever, right? Like when I can know that I'm hitting that stride, then I know that I'm going to win.
Mhm.
And that I've got a shot at it. So when you break it down to the daily, I'm just thinking about like how many people do I got to talk to sell 200 homes this year, right? When you break it down daily, and it's just the same thing what you're saying about doing the Ironman, you had to really understand what is the level of commitment this is going to take. And I don't know how many hours a day, I'm just guessing, but am I willing to be away from my family for 2.5 hours every single day
Yeah.
to make this Ironman a reality? Am I willing to commit 6 days a week, 7 days a week, whatever it is, um,
Yeah.
to do this? Am I willing to invest the money to fly to Hawaii? Am I willing to, like, you have to, am I willing, is okay, now that I understand it completely, I'm in. And it's the same thing if you're setting a goal to help X number of families per year buy and sell homes, right?
Yeah.
To say, am I willing every single day to invest 2 hours, of lead generation time? Am I willing to sacrifice 4 nights a week not getting home until 7 o'clock at night? Am I willing to give up my Saturday mornings? Am I willing, like, I have to
Sacrifice.
sacrifice?
Are you
And
willing to sacrifice?
are you, yeah, because you're,
It goes back to what you just said just a second ago too. Joe Dispenza quote, right? It's
yeah,
hardest to not be who we are.
get out of
Are
the
we
habit.
willing to sacrifice that? Are we willing to sacrifice those things? And most people aren't. Most people are comfortable. And
Yeah,
I'm right in with Tony Robbins' belief: either you're growing or you're dying.
yeah, 100%.
And what I've seen so many times with people, and I'm with you. I want to set goals that we can achieve. It's going to be hard as hell. We're going to achieve it. I don't I don't buy into, and here's why I don't buy into this, Michelle, and I have a feeling you're the same way, is that when you set a goal that is unattainable, and people are like, well, shoot stars, land on the moon, whatever that nonsense is, it's that you don't achieve what you set out to achieve, you fall short.
You feel
That's
like a failure.
failure. It's defeated, right?
Yes.
And for us as leaders, even within our team, we have to cultivate a culture that is accountable, but a culture that wins, a culture that gets results, because that builds confidence. If
Yes.
you don't build confidence,
Mhm.
then you're not going to take the required action to achieve what we want to achieve.
Yep.
And I just, how we do anything is how we do everything. And so, where is that showing up in our lives? And so, not only setting the goals for our business, but setting the goals for our health, setting the goals for our relationships, and what does it require to have that? And are we willing to make that sacrifice, that commitment daily to achieve that? But I'm glad you said that, because we don't want to feel like a failure, and we don't want to set goals within our organization to where our people feel like a failure.
Right. Right. Confidence building is everything, man.
Yeah.
Like, I would walk into a listing appointment and walk in, and as I'm taking a little tour of the house, I'm walking in going, so does the fridge and the stove, they stay with the property, they stay with the sale, right? You're going to include those? Okay, great. I'll write that down. You know what I was doing? I had confidence that I was already going to sign the listing contract, and that we were
Mhm.
going to be negotiating that the fridge and the stove stayed with the sale.
Right.
Like that was like the minute I walked in the door, and they would go, yep, the fridge and the stove stay.
Yeah.
I
Well, you
just
had that belief. You had that belief in yourself. You had the belief in your skill set.
I was building confidence the minute I walked in the door.
Mhm.
That by the time we sat down at the kitchen table to sign the paperwork, I already had micro commitments and micro wins.
Right.
Like, wait a second. So tell me, where you guys moving to? Moving to Florida. Okay, great. So how much occupancy do you think you're going to need post closing? What's happening on the other end of it? Like, are you going to need to, lay over, or, how are we going to work this? What's going on? Oh, we have this plan. We're going to stay at grandma's house. Okay, good. So that, like, it was already like another little commitment along the way of like, they're telling me, okay, yeah, we're winning here. So when I could take my little notebook, as I would keep a little granny calendar that I'm gonna put that in my purse, and I keep it with me. And those were my contacts for the day of like how many people I talked to. When I could go to my coach at the end of the week and say, "Yep, I made all my contacts, and as a result, I got this many appointments." Then that's when things start to get really easy because now you have something measurable that you could really create.
Yeah. You know where to improve. You know where
Well,
to
you know where to
improve.
improve, and you know how many people you got to talk to before you can get that appointment, or like now this is how fast I run. This means either I'm going to have to pick up my pace, I'm going to have to pick up my speed if I'm going to hit this time. Like, yeah, you know exactly where you need to improve.
Right. 100%. And Adam Grant talks about this in Think Again, and he opens up the whole book with this, and he talks about the spectrum of the armchair quarterback and the imposter syndrome, and he uses confidence and competence. What I would say with the armchair quarterback, it's not confidence, it's arrogance. It's arrogance. Like their arrogance is off the charts, and they don't know shit. Right? It's real low. And so then on the other end, right, confidence is real low, but competence is really high. Like they know what they're doing. They just don't quite have the wins yet to validate them in the middle. And he said, to get there in the middle, it takes humility. It's being humble. And it's also a key trait is are you coachable? Are you coachable to get to that point? And just your example right there, right? You had enough humility to know that you needed to be held accountable, but you also needed that guidance, that coaching. You had that desire to be better and to learn those skill sets, those capabilities, those things you need to do to collect more wins on a daily basis. And that's so powerful. And I know but people have to get this if they want to achieve their goals and targets. They have to get the mental side. To me, it's all mental. It's a whole, like when you get your mindset right, and then you have a clear plan because of something you're willing to commit to, then it's just a matter of time. It's done. It's just a matter of time.
You ever see the movie Seabiscuit?
Yes.
Okay. So my husband says this about me. He's like, when Seabiscuit was first like purchased or whatever, he said, "This horse is fast." And the trainer said, "In every direction." Right? They could not get Seabiscuit on that track. This horse was fast in every single direction. Give that horse the right coach, the right mentor, give him the track to run on, give him the framework. And now, all right, now they're winning races. Now they're winning. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about you have to build the framework of what it is that you want. You have to make sure that you're running on the right track and that you've got the right people that are pointing you in the right direction of what's going to really be for the win. I mean, if you were going to do an Ironman and you just found somebody on social media that said, "I'll help you," and they had no past history of any success at all, you're going to be swimming like a mile and to the right, and then you're going to realize, "Oh shoot, I'm pulling too hard with my right arm. I need to put weight on my left," and you're gonna right? It would have been a mess.
Yeah.
You'd have been swimming in circles with that. Like, I think that's what when we're talking about like creating goals and creating a structure. If you really need to create accountabilities around what it is that you want to achieve. So make sure if it's a real estate goal that you have for yourself, make sure you're talking to somebody who's done better than you that can give you wise counsel about it. If it's something physical, get a trainer. If it's like whatever, go to the right people for the right things. That can help you guide that.
They help you collapse time is the big thing. And so, great coach, the difference, right? Mentors and coach, somebody you invest in, mentor, somebody that's just pouring into you. And I believe, both, right? We need to have great mentors alive from the past, consuming content, they don't have to be even in your proximity. They don't even need to know you. They can still be a mentor. Coach is somebody that you're investing in that, is really holding you accountable, giving you ideas, giving you a framework, maybe going to do some stuff for you, but they help collapse time. And that's the biggest thing. And I know, you ask anybody, hey, are you going fast enough? Or would you like to go faster? And even fast people want to go faster.
Of course.
So, finding that. One last question, just kind of as we wrap up here. Is there too many goals to have at any given time? Is less more? Like, what is your thought and experience on that?
Well, again, I go back to, I like to win. So if I'm setting too many goals, then I'm going to fail. I will fail. And it's all about the feeling for me, right? I think for everybody. If you're feeling victorious, if you're feeling like you're winning, you're going to lean in, you're going to do that more often. If you feel like you're failing, you're going to pull away and you're not going to want to participate in that, right?
Yeah.
So look, when I started to scale and really grow in business, I knew that listing and selling property and managing a team was just way too much, right? So I hired a consultant to come in and help me organize that. Basically, the pain was so great and the demands on my schedule were so much that I knew I couldn't go at it alone. And so I had to pick a lane and run with it. Am I going to be managing the team, or am I going to really be, on the road listing and selling property? Like that was too audacious of a goal at the time when I had to pick one and go to feel successful. And I'm so glad that I did. Because otherwise, man, you're just kicking your own ass.
Yeah. Yep. You're not collecting those wins daily. You're going to lose confidence. You're going to, it's not sustainable. You'll give up.
You will give up.
You will
Absolutely.
give up. Michelle, you are amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time, jumping in here, and really what this Expert Mentor series has been, what it is, and what will continue to be is, just those true expert mentors here in the Honey Badger Nation that just come from a place of value, love, contribution, and you're definitely the example. So I appreciate you.
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm just like, every time you talk to me, I'm honored. I'm like, oh, it's always good content. Always good content.
You're great. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. If you guys are not connected with Michelle, please do so. Get connected. Also, if you're tuning in, give her lots of love, and follow her all over social media. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Cool. Thank
See
you.
ya.